Hi, this is Christine. Welcome to Scrappin' Rabbit. It's been a while since I posted a video. I've been away quite a bit, so I haven't had much time to spend in my craft room, but I did get around to finishing a journal that I made, and it's my own personal travel journal. We went on a trip to Europe, my husband and I, in May, and we visited 4 different countries, and we stayed at the capital of each country. So we went to Berlin, Germany, and then Prague, Czech Republic. We went to Vienna, Austria, and then finally we went to Budapest in Hungary. Awesome trip. And I used my journal design with the repositionable or the removable inserts. So I'm going to show you what I did, because these albums and journals are always very pretty when you use a designer paper, but it's when you put your photos in that it really pops. So I want to take you through my little journal. This video might be a little bit longer than some of my other ones, just to show you the different inserts that I used and some of the pictures and what I included in there. I've used 5 inserts, and I made the journal thicker, and this is actually the 6 insert journal, but I've only used 5 of the elastics in here, so I still have room for one more insert if I wanted to put one in there. So let me take you through it. I've got on the front just European Vacation 2018, that's my title, and I have a little flower here with a button. And in my tutorial for this style of journal, I'll include a link to my Etsy shop for the tutorial. My elastic ties around the front like that. Well, this one, I just made it longer. It's attached the same way with the button, only I just wrapped the elastic around top to bottom. And I've got some trim here, and here's a little bit of lace. So here's the plastic insert that slides underneath all of my pages. This is a piece of plastic, and I use this to show where we went on our trip. We actually flew from Canada to Amsterdam, and then we flew to Berlin, and then it was a bus tour from Berlin to Budapest. So we left from Berlin, went to Prague, and also while we were in Prague, we stopped in Český Krumlov, which is also part of the Czech Republic. We only spent about 3 hours there, but we overnighted 3 nights in Berlin, 3 nights in Prague, then 3 nights in Vienna, and then on the way to Budapest we stopped for 3 hours in Bratislava, and that's in Slovakia. Very beautiful. And then our last 3 nights were in Budapest. So I just printed out a little map and I drew the route that we took. In the back, on this section of the plastic, I actually just stored in our daily itinerary for each day of our trip. I wanted to keep that as a souvenir, so I'm just including that in the back here. Now, this is the journaling part, and I just made a simple journal. This is the first insert in my tutorial, and I've got pages in there, and I've got a pocket in the front, and I just stored our airline tickets in there, and then I still have some space in the back. I could have used a bit less pages in this journal. I wasn't quite sure how much I would write in, and what I decided to do is just jot down some quick notes of where we went, and then I would have an insert for each place anyways. So this is just our itinerary each day where we were. And then I took a picture of the plane. This was when we were in Amsterdam and we flew to Berlin. We flew KLM. Really nice flights. So this is where I wrote every day in the journal where we stayed. And then on the way back, we flew over Greenland, so I just included a picture here. And then we also flew over Labrador, but I don't have the picture yet to put in here. I'm going to have to add that in there. So I still have some more pages if I wanted to put some more pictures that are related to the trip. The inserts I used for the specific countries that we were in. So here's the first one. I've got tabs here. One for Germany, Czech Republic, Austria, and this one includes Slovakia, which is right next door. But like I said, we only spent 3 hours there, so I did make a separate section for that one. And then here's Hungary. So if I start with Berlin, on the tab I wrote down where we were and the dates. So while we were in Germany, we also stopped in Dresden on the way to Prague. So this opens like that, and here modern and historical Berlin. All these European countries are beautiful. There's so much to see and never enough time. So here I start with this photo in the pocket, and this is a Brandenburg Gate. I won't take too much time on each of these photos. It's just to show you how you can use these journals. Now this was a waterfall insert, so I've got my waterfall here, and I trimmed out some pictures. I printed these from at a local photo store, pharmacy. But then I was thinking after too, what you can do is just scale them down using a word processor to whatever size you want, and then just print them off. So I can write my notes on the back. This was the Berlin Wall. And we did go to the Berlin Zoo. That was a panda. And we stopped at Museum Island, where there are 5 museums and a gallery. It's absolutely beautiful. We did 4 museums in one day. I couldn't believe it. We literally ran through some of these. There's just too much to see, and we only had a couple of days there. Another museum, and the architecture, of course, is gorgeous. This was on the way to the Berlin Wall, and here's a cathedral. And then I added some pages in the middle, and these are just slid underneath the elastic for this insert. And this was on the way from the airport to our hotel. We stopped at the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, and this is a beautiful synagogue, the dome. And I wanted to keep the travel brochures that we had, so I just slid these underneath the elastic so I can keep them as a souvenir. And here again, that's Berlin Wall and the museum. And then I also got some postcards that showed Berlin before the war and after, when they restored. So I didn't put all of the postcards in here. We took like 600 photos of during the whole trip, and I do have another album with just photos in, and but I wanted to make a special journal, so I'm not obviously including all of the pictures in here. But that was kind of a neat little postcard book. Now here again, I wanted to keep this little zoo flyer, and there was also an aquarium, but we didn't have time to go to the aquarium. And then on the back of this waterfall insert, I have a waterfall normally, but because we went to Dresden and I got this nice little book and I wanted to keep it whole, so instead of a waterfall, I just made a little pocket so I can slide that in there, and that's the Dresden portion of our trip. And this picture here, that was in Berlin, that can just flip up and you can still write notes there. An interesting story about Dresden. We only had 3 hours there, so we went to the Zwinger, which is a beautiful, beautiful palace. We didn't have time to go to any museums, but we had to stop to go to the washroom. And in Europe, like most places, if you want to use a washroom, you have to buy something. There was a coffee shop in the palace grounds, and we went to the coffee shop and we had some cake and coffee, and then we were able to go to the washroom. And it turns out we would have liked to see all of the beautiful Dresden china, and that was in the museum, and you had to pay to go in. But because we had bought pastries, we were allowed to use the washrooms, and it just happens that they shared the washroom with the museum. So as we went to the washroom, we were able to see all of the beautiful Dresden china that had been collected in the museum. It's absolutely gorgeous. So we were lucky to be able to see that. So that was just a little interesting story. If you happen to go to the Zwinger Palace, make sure you stop at the coffee shop. It's probably a restaurant. They had, I think, maybe sandwiches as well. So here's another photo in the pullout. So these are the souvenirs of Berlin in my Berlin section. Next we went to Prague, and this was the Charles Bridge, and this was from a flyer. It says Memories of Prague, so I just cut it and I put it on the cover. And this is the accordion page insert. So I just put a little tab here that says Czech Republic, and when I open that here, this is another little flap that keeps this closed. I cut out from paper collection, says let's go, and on the inside I put down the dates that we were in Prague, as well as Český Krumlov. And this was the gate just at the entrance of the palace in Prague. Prague is very beautiful, and that's just inside the entrance. And then this is the accordion section. And I just noted things on the back. I could have put some more pictures, but I just wanted to write some little mementos on here. And then here again, this was one picture and I wanted to keep it whole, so I just cut it in two and I put it on two panels, so it's a boat sailing on the river right in Prague. And this is the astronomical clock. Unfortunately, it was under construction, or the building was under renovation when we went there, so they had the clock covered up with a tarp that has like a painting of it on, so it almost looks like the real thing, but this is actually a cloth that's covering the wall. And then in the middle we went to an orchestra. It was a 5-string orchestra, and this was in the church inside the palace. So I just kept this flyer, Music of Prague Castle, like that, as a souvenir, and then I've got her concert ticket that I just attached to the base here. And then here on the back of this insert there's a pocket. I put a photo of St. Vitus Cathedral, beautiful. And then in the pocket I have this little map of the city of Prague and a couple more photos, and I just journaled on the back that I insert in here. So that's Prague. Now we also stopped in Český Krumlov, but I didn't put any pictures in here. Maybe I'll put one on the back. I didn't get around to doing that one. Then I've got the Austria section, and this is the double pocket insert. So I've got my front pocket, and here I just put some tickets from when we visited a clock museum. So I'm going to use this to store memorabilia. And this is a photo of a beautiful clock, and I've got a tab that lifts up like that, and I can write on the back. And I really like this paper. I didn't really want to cover the whole thing up. It's kind of neat. So anyways, so I did that. And here I've got, again, just some pages that I inserted underneath the elastic in the middle of the insert, and I wrote down the dates. These were the horses. They had these nifty little hats on their ears. And then we visited cathedrals, absolutely gorgeous. And the inside is amazing. And another dome. And then the Hofburg Court Palace. And then this is an archway in the gardens at Schönbrunn Palace. And that was home of the Habsburgs, I believe. And we also saw the Lipizan horses in their practice at the Spanish Riding School, which is in Vienna. And then we have the Museum of Fine Arts. We spent quite a bit of time in there. And then lots of beautiful architecture. And the doors had all these really neat statues and all sorts of ornaments in there. Now on the back pocket, I could have put a picture, but I had these pamphlets that I wanted to keep. So I just made a little belly band and I'm attaching those in there. And this is my map of Bratislava in Slovakia. So I wanted to keep that as a souvenir. And like I said, we only spent about 3 hours in Bratislava. And I think that might be where we saw a marionette museum. That was kind of neat. I'm pretty sure it was in Bratislava. Then in the second pocket, I just tucked in my city map of Vienna. That's the map that we used to get around. And then finally we stopped in Budapest. So this insert is the pockets insert. I've got 3 pockets on the front and 2 pockets on the back. So here I just have a photo of Budapest at night. We're coming back from a restaurant and this is just beautiful, all the lights. And then this, the House of Parliament, and we stayed in Pest when we were there. Buda is on the other side of the Danube, and we did a cruise, a dinner cruise on the Danube. It was just awesome. You get a beautiful view, and as the sun was setting, we got some really nice shots. And this was a museum that was close to our hotel, so we also spent a lot of time there. And then this is Beethoven's piano that's on display there. And I really like the next picture, this one. It almost looks like a postcard. This is a House of Parliament, and we were on a boat, the boat cruise, I think, when we took this picture. Beautiful, beautiful. And then here, I think this was a chain bridge, lots of bridges. And St. Stephen's statue. There's lots of monuments everywhere. And I think this was outside a restaurant. It was on the wall. And then, of course, beautiful churches. And on the back, I've got a few more pictures tucked inside the pockets. This was very touching. This is the Jewish memorial that they have in the Jewish quarter in Budapest. And then they have the Central Market Hall. And this was voted the best indoor market by CNN. I'm not sure what year, but it's absolutely huge, and they sell all sorts of things there. And they have some pretty good good prices, and we got some really nice Hungarian paprika. And then here's another church, really beautiful Matthias Church in the background here. And I still have a bit of room if I wanted to put some stuff in there. So that's my travel journal for our European trip. And I hope you get inspired by this. That's why I wanted to do this video, to show you what the journals look like once they're filled. And this one is filled pretty much to capacity. But I still have room for a few more things in there if I wanted to, because of the elastic it expands. So I hope this gives you some ideas, and I will include a link to my tutorial in my Etsy shop if anybody's interested in picking that up, or if you already have the tutorial, feel free to use any of these ideas in your own journal. Have a nice day and happy scrapping. Bye.